Morning.
Jumping in with this team news, mate. Any of the lads involved last Saturday for the, well, I was going to say tomorrow, but for Monday?
We've got a couple out injured. AJ just felt his knee again the other day in training, so that's unfortunate. So he'll go and have that looked at. Todd felt his groin, so he'll be out for the weekend as well. We had a practice game that a few of the lads played on Monday. Is it Monday? Tuesday. So they're definitely out, and we'll look at a couple of others.
With AJ, is that a bit of a concern now? Obviously, you'd sort of dated it back to Tampa and felt he was maybe getting through that, but if he needs to go and have a specialist sort of visit, is that?
Yeah, no, we'll be speaking to Aston Villa about it. He injured his knee in Tampa. He had an injection, felt good, and trained 3 or 4 days last week. He just felt it in training this week again, so he's going to have to see a specialist, that's for sure.
In terms of Byron Sorensen, you sort of said they were in the last stages of rehab there a week or so back, but what does that look like now going into the Festive?
So Sam Byron will be doing a restart session today and then train with us tomorrow. Lungi's a little bit further back than him.
So obviously with Sam, it's just guided by how he gets through these next few sessions.
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll obviously be ready for the weekend. He's not played a game, for a while since before the World Cup break. So yeah, I don't see him back before then.
Also, obviously this time of year it's always quite interesting. What's the festive logistics look like? Will you have them training today, tomorrow, do a bit on Christmas Day, and then travel down to Luton?
Yeah, so we'll be in today, tomorrow, Christmas morning, and then the players will go home to the families, and then we'll travel on the day to Luton on the morning, and we'll have day beds in a hotel there. So, it's our local game, I believe, our closest game. I think it's important everybody gets to spend some time with the families as well. I think it probably helps that the game's at 7:45 on the night, for everybody to get down there and meet at the hotel if we need be.
I suppose you don't. You've said before, since you were 17 you've been in this game, so it's nothing different. It's probably just your normal, isn't it, this time of year, but for everybody else. But, like you say, it's getting that balance maybe, because, you need to stay switched on professionally. You've got a lot of games, but... Yeah,
you've said it there. I mean, probably the only thing for me that's been tough has been it's my boy's birthday on Christmas Day, so I haven't spent many of his birthdays with him, unfortunately.
Yeah, to get two lots of presents there, don't you?
I timed it right. Just the one.
Obviously, we just have a footnote on the Blackburn game for obvious reasons. Off the pitch as well as on it. It was a difficult night, but how do you process it? And is it tougher to just shut it down, deal with it, move on when you've had that kind of situation to deal with in terms of fan reaction? I
think you have to process it. And I've said many times since I've come here, I'm in a privileged position of being the head coach of Norwich City, and never ever took that for granted. And I believe I'm good at my job. Yet the reaction wasn't great, but my intent has never been to drive a wedge between myself and the fans. It's always been to try and bring us together. And I just felt, after 12 minutes of the game, I thought that was tough. And listen, I understand I haven't got the credit in the bank that a lot of the players have got, but some of the players were getting stick that early in the game. I think I've looked back on the stats, and at half time Blackburn's expected goals was 0.01. We've conceded a goal to an own goal. So I just feel, and I'll always feel, I'm not a punch bag. I feel that I have a right to defend them players. There was never any intent in my comments after the game, because the be all and end all is we need the fans. We all need to be together to get ultimately what we want to be is a promoted team that can go and stay in the Premier League, and I still firmly believe we can go and do that.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, you're talking about your comments after the game, and on a human level, we've never, any of us have been in that situation, so I have to deal with that directly. Questioning you talked about a narrative in your style of play maybe. So, on a human level, it's very hard for you, I guess, for you then to come in. Emotions are high anyway, you've lost the game, and you're getting asked questions by the media. is there any, sounds like you've reflected on maybe what you said and maybe how it was perceived. Is there any aspect of maybe a little bit of regret, in terms of?
No regret at all. I've got no apologies to make for what I said after the game. But my intention was not to drive a wedge. My intention is always to bring the players together. And there's a lot of work that goes unseen. The environment at this training ground, the culture at this training ground, the learning environments. What we want is to see it expressed on the pitch. I understand the fans' frustrations. I do. And, I'm as frustrated as they are because we want to be seeing fast-flowing football. We want to be seeing us winning football games. And yes, there was emotion there after the game. And I've always said that I have tried to be as honest as I can in every question that the media have asked me. Without compromising, obviously, private stuff that players don't want me to. And that happened, and we have to look forward. We have to go and get a good result, a good performance against Luton, because we know the margins in this game are very slim, and it can change very quickly.
Yeah, that's interesting, as you say. Obviously it's about a win, getting 3 points on the board, but you touched on it there. Probably because of the way that game's finished and the reaction there, does it feel even more imperative that you get a good performance and hopefully a good result with Luton Boxing Day? For those reasons with the... No,
the reason is because we want 3 points. I can't change what happened. It happened, but the biggest thing for me is that we try and go and get 3 points for the fans. And let's not forget, on the road this season, our fans have been unbelievable. Birmingham City on a night, Sunderland, Rotherham, Swansea. They've actually dragged us over the line at times away from home. And we started so well at home with the performances and the togetherness that I felt with the crowd against Millwall and Wigan at home, Coventry. So there's connections there. Just unfortunately over the last month, 6 weeks, something has broken down a little bit, and we need to rebuild that.
At what type of, because your experience, you've been in this game a long time, when you have that type of game and the episodes around that game, do you want to know what's being said and debated in the days and hours afterwards, or do you have people telling you this is the sort of discourse off the back of that game? How do you try and deal with it yourself?
Debated by who?
Well, just pundits and, everybody's got an opinion, haven't they? When you said after the game, everybody's got an opinion.
Everybody's got an opinion, and they're entitled to an opinion. I have no concerns what people are talking to about me, and never have done. Because the world has changed now. A lot of it will be about people wanting to get likes or followed on stuff. That doesn't concern me and never has done. As long as I can, put my head on the pillow each night and know that I've done I've gone out and done what I set out to do. I'm okay. I have to work hard, and I have to be. I'm pretty tough on myself whether I do a good job, and as I said, I still believe that we can get promoted this season. I certainly think we will do.
You were very candid there in your first answer when you said you don't probably have the credit in the bank that maybe some of these other players do, who've done this at this level 2 times before in some cases. Chris, certainly columnist for us, he's basically felt that you haven't maybe had a fair shake from a lot of fans since you walked through the door, because maybe you wasn't whoever, the previous manager, whatever, or this thing about what you've done at previous clubs and what have you. He was quite strong midweek. He felt some of the criticisms beyond the pale. He used the word despicable. Do you understand that maybe there are some fans who maybe from the minute you walk through the door you've had trouble winning them over?
I think from the moment I came through the door, any management job I've had, and I said this when I first come through, I'm not going to please everybody. There'll be people who are Man City fans who still don't get why they pass so much with Pep Guardiola. That's football, so that's why there's so many opinions. So there's some people that I will never turn around, and that's normal. It was the same at Aston Villa, same at Brentford, same at Walsall, same when I worked with Lingy at Leyton Orient as well. That'll never change. But the biggest thing is I understand the frustrations, but we all have to be together to be successful as a football club.
Just a couple more on this and then we'll obviously move off it. Saturday night you said you're proud of your record, what you've done at previous clubs, and you look at every club you've been at, you've left the team and the organisational element of it in a better state than probably what you inherited. Do you feel maybe that's not getting enough respect at the moment in terms of what you have done at other clubs? Your record's there.
I can't control that, Paddy. All I can do is work hard to make sure that, eventually when I leave Norwich City Football Club, I leave it in a better place. That is always my aim. I've always said I'm a custodian as a head coach, as all head coaches are, and your job is to leave it in a better place when you leave.
You also said something like, even as disconnected as it felt there after the game, again with the emotion as high as it was. But you've seen plenty of examples where this can be turned back round again. But how do you go about that? How difficult is that process now? Is it literally just, as you say, you put your teams on the pitch, get your results, get that consistency in performance, and it'll turn?
Yeah, and to clarify my statement after the game, it's a good thing we are away because of how the hostility was at the ground. Can you imagine if we hadn't won, if we hadn't scored in the first 30 minutes of the game, it might. So if we go and put in a good performance, and get a good result, then certainly I think it buys us time against Reading then as well. But I just didn't think it was fair to them players after 12 minutes. I don't know if you did as well.
I think so much of that. I did it. Well, you're talking after the immediate aftermath of the goal kind of thing.
No, 12 minutes into the game, I thought the players were getting booed for passing back to the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was more 10 minutes into the second half where they've come for you. That's the first time we probably heard that on that scale.
For me, it was the 12 minutes. That was the biggest thing for me. I think we built up 18 times in the first half, and we connected a pass in their half 12 out of them 18 times. So our build-up wasn't that bad. We didn't connect it in the final third, and that was the biggest problem. That's been our biggest problem this season, in all honesty, rather than building up from the back.
What's the general mood been around the place this week? Have you had to work on that element of it?
No, I looked at the numbers of the players after the game, and their numbers are up this season in terms of high-speed running, number of sprints. So they're doing what we want in terms of physical loading. They're better than they were last season, and can't deny that them players were working hard. Did they work smart? Not in the final 8 to 10 minutes because we ended up chasing the game. But you certainly can't complain that they aren't giving that all.
Well, you created this you were quite open that you wanted this sort of leadership group within the dressing room. You've seen your lads. Are you leaning on those chaps? Even more in this sort of period.
No, the last few days I've kind of gone around people to find out where they are, but they're all on side. They're all you're working hard, and I've said to you, my biggest driver right from the start has always been about trying to prove people wrong. Whether it's you're not going to make it as a pro, you're not going to make it. You won't be a captain. You won't be a good leader. You won't be a manager. I've always been driven to prove people wrong, and a lot of them players are as well.
Now throwing it into Luton, does that even enter your head in terms of when you sit down with shaking your coaching team and you're thinking about your team for Luton, and we've touched on it again today that maybe not so much away from home, but with 2 home games to come, it's a difficult environment for players to go out there. So does that lend you to think that maybe I need to go a little bit more with experienced players who've been over this and probably experienced this and can handle it and come through it?
Not really, because I look at the performance of Liam Gibbs when he came on. And I thought he was excellent when he came on the other night, and broke their press many times, wanted the ball, drove the ball forward. And that's a kid who's just turned 20 or whatever it is, and I thought his performance was really good. But I'll pick the team that I believe is the best team that's going to go and win a game.
And obviously Luton is the next one. I've not really looked up too closely since, but clearly since the last game they've changed managers. Has there been too much in terms of the setup changed or what?
Well, they've only had the one game because the Millwall game got called off, so we've not seen too much. But listening to what Rob has said, there's not too much that needs changing there, and I think the players that are there have a certain way they play. I don't think they've been as good at Kenilworth Road as they've been on the road this season. But it's always been a tough place to go.
Yeah, and irrespective of whether it's Nathan Jones or the lads gone in now. Last 2 or 3 years, they're just a very solid championship outfit, aren't they? They want a little bit like Millwall. Always think, very tough. No, doesn't matter who's playing. You know that it's going to be a tough afternoon.
Yeah, no, it'll be a tough afternoon, but we're one that we're more than capable of coming away with all 3 points.
Just got more from it away from the games. A few reports in Brazil, the Coritiba link up. You might be sort of looking to bring in a young defender. Anything in that? Talisson, I think his name.
I'm not going to comment on players in or out at the moment until January starts.
Fair enough. One slightly off in that ballpark, but the contracted lads, Ted Kenny got his new deal. Is there anything imminent with those lads who are in that collection?
No, not at the moment, no.
Oh, thanks for your time.
No worries, mate.